Sadie with DIY Sweets. Today I'm going to show you how to make macaroons. We're not going to make just normal flavored macaroons, but we're going to make raspberry cookies with a chocolate ganache center. To me, chocolate and raspberry just go so well together. So we're going to show you first how to make the cookie part. We are going to first get our raspberries ready for flavoring it. Now, when getting the raspberries ready, they have to be freeze-dried because we don't want any liquid from the raspberries into this. So I bought a package of freeze-dried raspberries, and I'm going to stick, I don't need this many, I'm only going to need a teaspoon. I need enough in here that my food processor will grind it up. So now that I've got the raspberries in there, I'm just going to grind up, making a very fine powder, my raspberries. You can see that's a very fine powder. All we need is a teaspoon now. So this is the amount that I need of the raspberries. Now obviously I don't want to throw all this away, it's still good. So I'm going to just put this in a plastic bag. And I can save this for the next time I need my ground up raspberries. Okay, with the raspberries ground up, we're now going to mix our powdered sugar, our almond meal, and of course our raspberry. So I want to put about half of my powdered sugar in, and I'm just eyeballing it. And then I want to put my almond meal in. And then I want to put in the powdered sugar. I want to just pulse this. I don't want it to go constantly because then we can bring out the oils in the almond meal. And we don't want to bring out the oils, so we just pulse it and about 20 times. You will notice it's starting to mix. We're just going to keep pulsing it. Now I'm going to stop for a minute, and I want to dump in that raspberry. And I'm going to keep pulsing it. And I'm just pulsing it till I see it's all mixed up. If you can get it down. When you look at this now, you can see it's all mixed in. And that's what we were looking for. Now we're going to take this mixture and put it into this bowl. And as you see, we have a very fine texture here. It's all mixed together, the powdered sugar and the almond milk. With the dry ingredients done, we're now ready to work on the meringue. In this bowl, I have the egg whites and the cream of tartar. Now the cream of tartar, we're just doing a pinch. Now we're going to beat this with the whisk attachment on our beater. We're going to beat this until this looks like foam. Okay, as you see, this is looking foamy. It doesn't have any structure yet, it's looking foamy. Okay, now what we're going to do is, as we mix this, we're going to very slowly pour this sugar in. And we want it to go between the bowl and the whisk. We're going to pour it very slowly. We're now going to continue to whip the meringue until it is soft and shiny. It should look like marshmallow cream. That's starting to thicken up a little bit. I'm going to switch this back to my beaters because I find on a hand mixer the beaters sometimes whip it up better than the whisk. Now what we want to do is we want to add just a couple of drops of our raspberry flavor. And I'm going to pour it into here first because I do want to make sure it's just a couple of drops. And that way if too much comes out, I can pour some back. Okay, so just a couple of drops. 2, 3. And that's it. And then I also want to add just a couple of drops of red food coloring. Now we're going to go ahead and mix this until it's at firm peak. So I want to check to see if it's at firm peak. So I'm just going to dip that in and turn it, and you see that is falling over. So it's not yet at the peak we want it. So I'm going to stick that back in there and mix it some more. let me show you what I did. I just dip it in there and then I turn it, and you see here it's still going over, but it kept some form. So we're going to leave that like that. It's ready. Okay. We are now going to fold in this almond meal mixture into 3 increments. So I want to get first 1/3 of the almond meal into this bowl, and then I'm going to fold it in. That means I'm going through and across the bottom, through and across the bottom. I'm not doing a vigorous stir, and turn the bowl as you do it. Put in the next third. And the last third. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to paint this mixture We're going to paint this mixture 1/3 the way up the bowl. So we're just going to go like this, bring it up, go all the way around, bringing it up. And we usually have to do this like 3, maybe 4 times. Once you've got it there, then scrape it down. And you're going to know that you have it done and you don't need to do it anymore when it starts falling down. So again, I come from there and paint, paint. Then scrape it down. We're going to paint it down. This is going to be our 3rd time. So we paint it up, just paint it up the bowl. And then scrape it down. Okay, you notice it's not yet coming down. It looked like it was almost ready to start coming back down. So we're going to scrape it one more time and paint our one more time up the bowl. Paint, paint, paint. Okay, so it's still not sliding down, so I'm just going to keep painting. And then we scrape it down again. Okay, as you look at it here, it is starting to slide down. So this will be our last time painting it. Sometimes it'll happen in just a couple. Sometimes it'll take several. I think I did 5 or 6 times. Okay, we're now ready to put this into the piping bag and then pipe it onto our macaroon sail pat trays. So I filled my bag with the batter, realized that the camera wasn't running, So I took that one off that I had put on. I'm going to show you again how to put it on. I just stick this right above that circle and I squeeze. I don't go up and down, I just squeeze to fill that hole. And then I stop and I quickly move away. And you don't really want any point there. So go squeeze, stop, and push away. Squeeze, stop, and push away. You want it to be, that one's a little bit small, so let me take that one off. You want it to fill almost that complete circle there. Just a little bit shy. So you just squeeze till it's filling that template and then push away. You want to push in as you're pushing away. Remember, you want to stop squeezing before you push away or before you pull off. And you want to push down into it while you're pulling off. Otherwise you get a peak like that. Now you want to make sure you get all of your macarons piped at once. You don't want to keep it in the bag. And this one batch will make more than one pan, so you really need to have more than one of these mats, or you can just have some circles under some parchment paper so that you can make sure they're all the same size. Okay, I'm going to go back and fix that one. So I'm going to get me another pan, and it's going to be a smaller pan because I don't have that much batter left. And I'm just going to continue with this one. Stop there, come off. So I squeeze, just when it's full, stop, come off. Squeeze, full, come off. Okay, I'm going to stop for a minute because that's oozing up and I want to get that down. Okay, here we go. Squeeze, stop, come off. Squeeze, stop, come off. Squeeze, stop, come off. So you just continue like that until you're done. Okay, you'll notice as I'm getting close to the end, I'm starting to get some air bubbles in it. So I just need to push them out and then continue. And we're going to stop right there. Now what we want to do is we want to make sure there are no air bubbles in there. So we're going to take this pan and we're going to go about 15 inches, 12 to 15 inches above and drop it. We're going to do that 3 or 4 times. Now we've got the air out from above. Now we're going to sit here at the bottom and punch it to get it out from the bottom. Okay? Now we're going to set that aside. And we're going to do the same with this. And then do a couple of punches. All right. Now we want both of these pans to sit until the top becomes dull. We're going to let those pans sit for 30 to 35 minutes because it's really humid. If you're in a dry area, you're only going to need to sit for 15 to 20 minutes. At that point, we're going to stick them in the oven. We can only stick it one pan at a time in the oven. By letting it sit and kind of form a crust over the top, it helps it so that it won't crack while it's baking. So while that's setting up, I'm going to show you how to do the ganache that's going to be the filling on the inside. Our ganache is just 2 ingredients, the chocolate and the whipped cream. Have the chocolate measured out and it's in a bowl and it's going to sit and wait till we get the whipped cream to come to a boil. So we're going to put this in the microwave and I'm going to stir it for just 2 minutes. At the end of the 2 minutes, we're going to check it and then we're going to stir it with the whisk so that if there's any hot pockets, it will disperse it and evenly heat the whipped cream. And then if it's not boiling, we'll put it back in at 1 minute intervals. But at that point, we will be checking it constantly. And as soon as it comes to a boil, we will pull it out. And every minute, we will pull it out and stir it. Because it shouldn't take more than 2 to 3 minutes to bring it to a boil. We'll check back when the timer has dinged on this, and it's been the 2 minutes, and stir it and see how close it is to being ready. The timer is just ready to ding. So now we're going to take this out. And as you look at it, it's kind of forming bubbles at the edges, but it's not boiling yet. And it's steaming pretty good, so I stirred it to evenly distribute the heat. And I'm only going to stick that in for another half a minute because that is so close to boiling. And I want to pull it back out in a half a minute and stir it again if it hasn't started boiling. So we're watching the oven, making sure that it doesn't come to a boil and boil over. As soon as we see bubbling, we will pull it out. Okay, just stick that in to break the top, stir it again, and start it. You may be wondering, why am I being really careful when I put this in to stir it? Well, you can get superheated liquid and it might not be boiling. And when you put this in to stir it, it's going to go up like this. So that's why I'm being very careful to make sure that I don't get burned by sticking it in carefully. Okay, there it's come to a boil again. I should say there the timer's gone off. This time, because I know it's really close, I'm going to set it down. And I'm just going to, see how that bubbled up? See how that bubbled up? That's why I like to check it that way, because you can get superheated liquid. So that is boiling. Now I can pick it up because it's done the exploding. We're going to take this and pour it onto the chocolate. So here's our chocolate. We're just going to pour this liquid onto it. We want to totally cover the chocolate. And we're going to let this sit for 1 minute. So we'll be back in 1 minute to start stirring it. All right, this has sat for about a minute. So now I'm just going to take my whisk and I'm going to mix this up. At first, you're going to see it looks really kind of stringy. But as we whisk this and mix it up, we're going to get a nice, luscious, rich ganache. And that's what we're going for. Notice it's starting to look like chocolate milk. As I stir it, it's going to become an even richer chocolate. And And eventually it'll be that dark rich chocolate that is the ganache that everyone knows and loves. Now at this point, I could pour this over a cake, but we want this to be a pipeable consistency. I'm going to stick this in the fridge until it is cold and set up enough that I can whip it into a buttercream consistency. So we'll be back now when it's time to cook the macarons and show you what we do from there. As you look at these, they've been sitting for about 30-35 minutes. They have lost most of their glossy look. So we're now going to stick this in the oven at 330 degrees for 11 minutes. You can only do one pan at a time. All right, we're going to put these in and set the timer for 11 minutes. In 11 minutes, we'll come back and check them and see if they're ready. If they are ready, then we'll be able to put the other pan in. All right, our timer has just dinged. So we're going to pull this out. And we're just going to check and see if this slides. And since it is sliding a little bit, we're going to put it back in and give it 2 more minutes. So in 2 minutes, we'll pull it out and we'll put the other pan in. The timer's about ready to go off after the additional 2 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and check it and see if it's ready. So we pull this out. We just want to see, as you see now, it's not sliding. So we're going to take this out. And I'm going to stick the other pan in. And we're going to give this one, because that one took a little bit longer, I'm going to go ahead and set this for 12 minutes instead of 11. So we will come back and check this in 12 minutes when it's done. All right, the timer has just gone off. So we're going to pull these ones out. Before I pull them all the way out, I just want to jiggle and see if they slide. And that is sliding just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one also another minute. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, our timer's gone off again. I'm going to pull this out. And you notice it's not sliding. So we're going to take these out and put them on the cooling rack and let them cool. When all of it's cool and the ganache is set up, we will then be ready to put the filling in between the cookies. So we'll be back then. We've brought our ganache out of the fridge and we're just going to whip it. We want to whip it until it's the consistency of buttercream. As I'm looking at it, I'm going to put this in a little bit bigger bowl. Now we're going to whip this until it's the consistency of buttercream. Now ganache is, remember, just whipped cream and chocolate. So the whipped cream is going to thicken up as we beat it. And the chocolate, of course, as it continues to cool, will get harder also. As you notice, it is starting to thicken up. It's not thick enough yet, so we're going to keep beating it. But you'll notice it is thickening up as we whip it. Now you'll notice it's the consistency of buttercream. So what we're going to do now is we'll be taking off the macarons and piping and then putting another one together like that. So let me get my piping bag. I'm actually going to use the same tip I used for the macarons. So I'm going to turn this down. Fill this up. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the macaron and I'm just going to squeeze it till I have about a tablespoon on there. Then I'm going to take another one and I'm going to squish them together. And I apparently filled that one just a little bit too full because it overflowed. So we're going to do that again. And you just want to squeeze it, not all the way to the end. So I'm going to do several before I put this down. And then I want to put this in a cup so that it doesn't get the stuff on it. And we're just going to, again, push that down and squeeze till that's basically starting to come out. Put it on top and push it down to make our sandwich. And we do want to make sure that you can see the chocolate. So we don't want to push it down so much that there's no chocolate left. We want to push it down so that the chocolate is coming. It's just starting to come out. And we're going to do the other pan also. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these. And then we'll be back when we're all done. You go ahead and finish yours too. So here is our complete macarons. As you saw, they weren't that difficult to make. We took some of the mystery out of it. Go ahead and try to make some. The nice thing about these is you can make the shells many different flavors and you can fill it with many different types of fillings. This is our raspberry chocolate ganache macarons. Enjoy and